Hi. So today is Kaiser Rolls, and what I look for in a Kaiser roll is a really crispy outside and just really soft inside with a lot of holes. That not really that kind of bread texture, but just has like divots in the inside. So this is going to be using some malt syrup. You can use dried malt powder as well, but here we go. This is a new one for me. So basically, we're going to add all of the ingredients into our mixer bowl, except for the salt. That's why I have the salt over here, so I don't accidentally grab it. And I have the flour already measured out in here. And I'm going to add the water. Now, the egg, it says half of a large egg, so it only wants 30 grams. So what I did is I put the egg in a bowl and I scrambled it, and then I just poured out the other 24 grams that I didn't need, and I have that set aside for using on something else. Put that in. And then we have sugar. And I'm going to use butter for my oil because it melts down and it's an oil. So it's any neutral oil. You could do canola, vegetable, anything like that. But I love my butter. All right. And then we have yeast. And it's a decent amount of yeast. So hopefully that's going to help me get those big airy pockets inside. And then this syrup. So it's 1.5 teaspoons. So 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. So basically, for the for the 1.5 teaspoons, I need half a tablespoon, and I actually have it's a half tablespoon. So that's really convenient. All right, it is very, very thick, but it's going to give a nice flavor to it as well. And this I do keep in the fridge, so it's probably going to take me a second to get this out of here, actually. But we're going to use the paddle attachment when mixing this together and just get it all thoroughly mixed, and then we'll swap over to the dough hook. All right. Like I said, it's very thick and was refrigerated. So I'll grab a spoon to help me get this out of here. I was really nervous the first time using the malt syrup because it has a really strong smell, but it just adds a nice subtle taste, as long as you don't go crazy with it, of course. But it's really subtle. I usually use it when I'm making bagels. All right, so there's that. And I'm going to take this over and use the paddle for a couple of minutes and then switch over to the dough hook. All right, so I had this going with the paddle. The dough is soft, but it's kind of struggling with it just because it's getting clumped around the paddle. So I'm going to switch to the dough hook a little bit early. I did scrape it down and take the dough off of the paddle twice. But yeah, I just don't want to stress the mixer, and I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. But this is the dough now. Everything is mixed together. Feels really nice. So now I'm going to add in the salt and then go ahead with the dough hook. All right, so this was on with the dough hook for 10 minutes, and the dough is looking great. Get it out of here. There we go. So it's nice and soft, but it also is really strong dough. Now, usually when I have the mixer going for a while, I'll use that time and just kind of tidy up and get rid of all of my stuff that I have around. But now this is going to go into this bowl, glass bowl again for rising because the metal conducts too much heat unevenly. So we want to have the glass bowl. Going to do just a little bit of oil. And I'll go with the top. So I just kind of moved this around and created a little bit of a ball here. And I'm going to take the top part, smooth part, and kind of twirl it around in that oil. And then I'll flip it over and just make sure that it's all oiled all around. And that's that. So I'm going to put this with some plastic on it, one of those shower caps. And then this is going to rest for about 2.5 hours. We want it to triple in size. All right, so this has been resting for a while. You can see it has grown a lot. So I'm going to take off the saran wrap and just feel the dough so I can get an idea of where. Oh, wow. That's amazing. All right, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Oh, it's so wonderful. All right, I'm excited for this one. I'm going to take these off and we're going to separate the dough out. Now, we like big rolls, so I'm going to actually do more than most of the recipes say. I've seen 4 ounces, which that just is kind of like a little dinner roll. And I'm going to do 8 ounces because I want it to be a big roll so we can do big sandwiches, egg sandwiches, deli, whatever, anything like that. So I'm going to lightly flour. And then I'm going to show 2 different ways of shaping. All right, so here's, wow. Oh my gosh. Can you guys see all the bubbles? Oh, wow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I have my bench scraper, and I'm just going to kind of cut it in half so I can handle it a little bit easier. And I'm just going to estimate, I guess. Had this on ounces. Okay. No, maybe I can actually do them. No, maybe I'll stick with a 6. 6 seems pretty good because it's going to rise up more also. I don't want to go crazy. I also want to get more than just like 4 rolls out of this. So I'll stick with the 6. Okay. Do this and I'll let it rest for a little bit while I portion out the other pieces. I want to tamper with this the least amount possible, but I do need to get it pretty consistent because also it's going to bake differently if they're different sizes. So we want to try and be careful of that. Let's see. Oh man, I went on the other side of it now. All right, got to add more on. He's going to be kind of like the Frankenstein roll that has the additions from other ones. There we go. 6 exactly. So when I have something like this, I'm just going to fold it around it so all of that gets incorporated into the inside, and it'll kind of smush together and rest and be easier to work with. So there's that. Okay. Hoping that that would equal that. Still need a little bit more. Feel like Jenga here. Okay, there we go. So again, I'm going to take this and I'll wrap it around a couple of times. I don't want to do it too much because I don't want the gluten to tighten up a whole lot, but this is going to be good, I think. Let's go for a halfway here. Ooh, 6 exactly. Yay. It's always fun when you get it right on the nose. Okay. And then hopefully this guy isn't going to be too crazy. He seems pretty big, 6.9. All right, well, I'm going to kind of put some of this on a couple of these. This one looks a little smaller. Also, it's hard to go just by visual because we do have a lot of air still in this. I haven't wrapped it around. So it's another reason that weighing them is good if you have the chance to. All right. So I'm getting 6 out of this, which is fine with me. They're probably going to be very big, but that's exactly what I want. All right, so these are going to just rest for a little bit, and then we'll do 3 with one type of shaping and 3 with the other. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of rolling these ones out into logs. I'm going to let them rest as logs for a little bit and then continue to roll them out. But they started fighting the roll. So I'm just going to get them going and then let the gluten relax and they'll roll out even better because we do want them to be pretty long so that we can get a nice shape to it. So this is the first round of it. And then let them rest again, and then I can stretch them out right before I'm going to do the braiding or the twisting or whatever you want to call it. That. And then these ones I'm going to shape differently, and I'm going to kind of press them out. Just this, and then take my palm and press it down. And I'm going to just kind of push it out a little bit. I don't want the edges to get thinner than the middle, but I do want to kind of stretch them out. And then I'm going to let these, once again, rest so that they can, like gluten can relax. And then we'll be ready for some shaping. But it's important not to force it because if I try to do it right now, it's going to start pulling back into the center and we're not going to get the nice shape that we want. So these have been sitting for a while. I did stretch them out another like 2 times, just gently. And now we can do some shaping. I'm going to start with this one and just gently pull. So if I pull right here, you can see that this part is still pretty thick. So you want to try and make sure that if you're tugging on it like this, you're pulling more from the ends, and then you can roll it out. So you want this to be pretty long, right? So there are a couple of ways to do this. One of them is to make like a U shape, like upside down, and then you're going to tie it here, and just it's a basic tie, like if you were just tying a normal knot. I like to do it around my hand just because I feel more comfortable, and gravity is helping me with this to hold it, to keep it elongated. So I'm just going to wrap it around my hand like this, and then tuck it through. And now I have these 2 long ends here. So this one that's coming out the top is going to go around the outside and up into that bottom. And this one that's coming out the bottom is going to come around the outside and into the top. So you kind of squeeze those together and you have your shape. So I'm going to kind of give it a little wiggle because that will also help it kind of come together in the center and hold its shape a little bit better, or get its shape a little bit better, I should say. All right, so there's one. And then, so these I'm just going to place face up on my baking sheet like this. I'll tell you why I said that in a second, though. Let's see. Let's do another one here. Roll it out. All right, and I want to make sure it does have a little bit of stickiness, this one. So I'm going to flour it so I don't have it stick to itself when I'm trying to tie it. So again, I'm going to do this, pull it through, and you want to have a little bit of an empty space here because that's where you want to tuck this in to the bottom and tuck this one into the through the top, and then pinch those 2 together so you have like a continuous rope going through. This one turned out much better. That's a much better shape. And then I'll put that down here, and I'll hold off on that one. So this one is interesting. So, okay, you have this round here. You're going to take your 9 o'clock and you're going to bring it into the middle, and you're going to keep your thumb underneath it. So great, I'm going to have my thumb here, and I'm going to push down on this to kind of tack it into the middle. Now you have this poke, this top poke here. You're going to bring that and bring it on top of that, and then push that down. Keep your thumb in that little pocket, though, that you've created. Now you have this poke, and you're going to bring that into the center. Push it down. This poke comes in. This poke comes in. And then this last one is going to go where your thumb is. So this is underneath still that first fold. You're going to tuck it underneath that and then push that middle down. So it's going to look, I think I missed one. Hold on. Yeah, I missed one. Okay. So then this one is going to come underneath. There we go. That, well, mostly. Underneath, I said. Underneath. There we go. All right. I'll get it eventually. This is my first time actually doing it. So, and then kind of tack them all together in the middle. So this one looks really pretty. But then you want to actually put this face down to start on your baking sheet. You might want to put some flour down if you wanted to do that, but I have a Silpat, so it should be okay. But putting it face down will make it so that you don't have it come apart as it's rising. All right, so let's try that again. Here and into the middle. I'm keeping this underneath. Okay. So it's 9 o'clock, 11, 1. So here's my 1 o'clock. And then my 3 o'clock. And my 5 o'clock. And then, no, it should be right. Okay. So that, and then this goes underneath. All right, so these have been proving for about 45 minutes. They've grown enormously. So now is the time to flip over these ones that were put face down or top down when they were rising, and then to do the toppings. So I'm gonna do most of them cornmeal. I'm gonna do 2 poppy seed because my son and I both really like poppy seed. But I think the cornmeal is also going to be really good for just most other things that we want to use them for. Okay, so I have a bowl of water here, and this is my sodium carbonate. So, okay, baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. When you bake baking soda, it turns into sodium carbonate, which makes it more, so I'll show you this right here. It makes it more alkaline. So you can't touch this with your hands because it will actually burn your skin. So I keep this hidden in the back of my baking cabinet, and I'm gonna just be very careful with it, but I'm gonna whisk it into the water and then dip the bread into it. So it's gonna be kind of like doing a wash on the top, and then I'll use that to make my toppings stick to it. So I'm gonna be very, very careful here. And I'm going to do just a tablespoon of it. But this is going to help give a really nice coating on it. It still looks just like baking soda. I'm just going to put this right into the dishwasher because I don't want to risk anything. It's there. Lid goes back on. This is kind of the same idea as lye, if you're doing like a lye bath or anything. And the baking of it in the oven gets rid of any of like the toxin part of it when you're using lye. But for baking soda, it's not that the eating it is harmful with the sodium carbonate. You can't touch it. So just gonna whisk it into here, and that should be diluted enough now that it's safe. But I'm still gonna be careful and make sure it's all mixed in. Okay, so I haven't turned these over yet. I'm really interested to see what they look like. So this is supposed to have stuff. Wow, that is light. Okay, so it rose, I mean, it came together a little bit more than I expected it to, but it looks so cute. All right, so I'm gonna do, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Okay, just gonna take it. Now, I'm gonna brush it on. I'm gonna have to brush it on. because that's just too scary, and there's so much air in these that I don't want to risk getting rid of it. So I'm going to do this, turn them over. They look so cool. All right. And I definitely like the shape of these. These kept more of a round shape with the, like it's called the spindle method rather than the knot method. Okay, so I'm going to get my brush. And here we go. My oven is preheating, and it is preheating to, just make sure I did it to the right temperature actually. Yep, 450. Okay, good. So to 450, and I have a baking pan in the bottom, a baking sheet, so it's heating up with the oven, and then I'm going to pour the water into that baking sheet, boil water, pour it into the baking sheet right before I put these in, to create kind of a steam bath. Now usually I say put in the bread and then do the steam, but they actually want this to take over kind of the oven, and create a steam bath for them these to go into. So we're gonna try it that way. We'll go with the recipe here, and see. All right, just gonna brush this. I really like the pattern. I probably next time, since it has come together so much, I would take them out maybe at the half-hour mark, or maybe even a little bit earlier, as long as they have a good amount of air in them, and turn them over so that they don't become so closed, but it's fine. I'm gonna have cornmeal on there and poppy seeds, and I think it's gonna be good. All right, almost done. There we go. I want to make sure there is a good coating, especially going down the sides a bit. So I'm getting more on the brush than I would need to just brush it on, because I'm letting it drip down the sides. But you will be able to tell a difference where you had your wash, whatever your wash is, on top of bread. You'll be able to see where you put it and where you didn't. So we want to try and make the whole thing look nice and golden. So I'm probably going to do the spindle method moving forward, because that looks great. This I'm just going to put up here, and this will put right into the dishwasher again. And then I'm going to just sprinkle on these. These two I'll do as poppy seed, and then the other 4 I'll do with the cornmeal. So I'm just going to sprinkle these on. Normally you would dip the dough into the wash and then into your topping, but again, it's so fluffy. I don't want to risk losing it and having to squeeze it to hold on to it so it doesn't fall out of my hand. It just seemed better to do it this way. Put a few in that little pocket in the middle and see if it maybe sticks when it rises up. Okay, and then we have our cornmeal. Honestly, this dough rose a lot better than I thought it would from when I had it kneading, because it is a sturdy dough. It's very stable. It's strong, and I didn't know how it would do. But I guess that's the first rise, is the 2 to 2.5 hours. So it really incorporates that air in there, and then it's able to keep going from there. Okay. All right. So once this is fully preheated, which will be maybe another 2 minutes or so, I will put them in, and then we'll be able to do our taste test. So they had to bake for the full 15 minutes. They look beautiful. But I wanted to show you what I was talking about with the wash over the top. So you can see where I washed it and where it wasn't. So this up here, this is where I had the sodium carbonate water. And then down here, and you can even, let me do it this way, because you can see this is really smushy here, and then this is harder. So again, you want to try and make sure you get it all the way down the sides so that you get that nice color all around. The thing with bread is it rises, so I did try to get it down as far as I could, but I mean it puffs up, and I mean it still looks amazing. Okay, these two are my favorite ones. So I have the cornmeal and then the poppy seed. These were the ones I did with the spindle technique, and these are the ones with like the knotted wrapping around technique, which they didn't hold the shape really as well with the keeping it round. So I really like the other technique. And now we get to cut them open. Okay, I'm gonna choose this one. Okay. All right, so it's still very bready, but they are incredibly light. So I'll show you here. This, I mean, the texture in there is great, and it's perfect for what everyone kind of expects for a Kaiser roll. It's really light and fluffy. The outside, once if you toast them or anything like that, or once they cool completely, they're still a tad bit warm, but that outside will get that crispiness again. But personally, I'm looking more for kind of like a web interior where there's a lot of air pockets and just that really crispy outside. So if anybody has any recipe like that, please let me know, because that's what I've been hunting for a few years now. But this one looks really good. So we'll give it a taste. Oh, wow. Gonna try? Nice. Cheers. That's really, really good. And it even has the perfect amount of salt. Usually I find I have to add more salt to recipes. This is perfect. There is definitely a difference in flavor between the crust and the crumb because of that wash. It has a little bit, it's not bitter, it's just, it feels more salty, I think. Um, this is amazing. So even though this isn't the exact recipe I'm looking for, this is going to be a go-to for me. So thank you for joining me this week, and I will see you next week.